Hey everyone, and welcome back to more political chatter. Today we will be talking about the 2022 U.S. Senate elections, the 2022 midterms, of course, which are just in 20 days, which is pretty crazy to think about, saying how long we've talked about this race on this channel, whatever. And it is just 20 days away, and this is my updated Senate prediction. No states will flip from my earlier predictions, however, the margins in some have changed. And before we get started, I just want to share that I just recorded this video for 18 minutes and it didn't save because it's on me. I should have remembered that QuickTime doesn't save long videos on my laptop. But anyway, excuse me if I sound really defeated by this because it's really unfortunate for me that I have to record this long video again. But anyway, let's get started. I know you guys don't care about that. So, safe Democratic states. Of course, we always start with that on this channel. Hawaii, Brian Schatz will win. California, Alex Padilla will win once again. Ron Wyden in Oregon will win. New York Chuck Schumer in New York will win by a safe margin. And again, a safe margin is a 15% margin or higher. Richard Blumenthal in Connecticut. Chris Van Hollen in Maryland, Peter Welch in Vermont, who will win his first term this year, actually, and Tammy Duckworth in Illinois. And then safe Republican states, Mike Crapo in Idaho, John Hoeven in North Dakota, John Thune in South Dakota, Jerry Moran in Kansas, James Lankford in Oklahoma, Mark Wayne Mullen in Oklahoma Special, Lisa Murkowski in Alaska, John Kennedy in Louisiana, John Boozman in Arkansas, Eric Schmidt in Missouri, Rand Paul in Kentucky. Democrats might be putting some money into that race, but at the end of the day, Rand Paul is popular and he will win by a safe margin, without a doubt. Indiana, Todd Young, Tim Scott in South Carolina, and Katie Britt in Alabama, and that is it. Oh, one more. Really, McMullen needed to do well in the debates. He really didn't, mostly because of the crowd and how biased they were towards Mike Lee. McMullen really does not have a shot in Utah. I would be comfortable at this time giving it to Mike Lee by a safe margin. So we have likely, lean, and tilt states left. So now let's go into likely states, which means a 5 to 15% margin for the candidates. First off, Patty Murray in Washington. She is unpopular. There is a very strong Republican nominee, Tiffany Smiley. However, the fact of the matter is, Washington went to Biden by a safe margin. They have a Democratic governor. They have 2 Democratic senators. They are a very Democratic state, and this will be the case for many states, Republican or Democrat, like North Carolina or Ohio or Colorado or New Hampshire. That is just how it goes. There might be really weak candidates and really strong candidates, but the fact of the matter is, they're a very partisan state, and it would be very hard for the candidate of the other party to win here. So, I would be comfortable putting it at a likely margin. The second likely margin state for the Democrats is Colorado. We have Michael Bennet here, who's a very popular senator, and we have Joe O'Dea as the Republican, who is a very strong Republican. We have 2 very popular candidates. Voter turnout will probably be high in this race. At the end of the day, Colorado went to Biden by 13. This will not go to Bennet by 13, but it certainly will not be under 5%. And the last likely Democratic state is the state of New Hampshire. Here we have Maggie Hassan, who is a Democratic incumbent running for another term, and why can't I think of Steve Bolduc? Yeah, I don't know why I'm questioning that. Don Bolduc, sorry, that's why. I knew it was the first name. Not Steve. Don Bolduc is the Republican nominee in New Hampshire. He was nominated by the Republicans. His opponent, Chuck Morse, would have been such a stronger candidate in New Hampshire. And we see this all across the country. In Pennsylvania, Dave McCormick would have been a much better candidate than Dr. Oz. In Ohio, Josh Mandel would have been a much better candidate than J.D. Vance. In Arizona, Mike Brnovich would have been a much better candidate than Blake Masters. We see this all across the country. The Trump-endorsed candidates always win, and those are the most unelectable candidates. And we see this in New Hampshire. If Chuck Morse was the nominee, this would not be a likely margin win for Maggie Hassan. It would be lean, if not tilt. But with Don Bolduc as the nominee, who's an election denier, very far right, he doesn't have a shot. Maggie Hassan will win this race by a likely margin. And now we are on to likely Republican states. So the first one is Iowa. For a while, I've had this as safe Republican, and I'm changing my characterization from safe to likely. I don't like to base my predictions off of polls at all. However, more polls are coming out, and all polls show Chuck Grassley winning by a likely margin. So at this point, it's like I have to at least somewhat listen to polls and change my characterization from safe to likely. And the second likely state for the Republicans, and the last one actually, is Florida. Marco Rubio is a very popular senator. He's not like others. He's not like he comes across as much more moderate than other Republican candidates across the country. He's so popular that he ran for president in 2016. A unpopular senator does not run for president in 26 at all. So I definitely see him defeating Sherry Beasley, probably by a 9% or so. But anyway, let's move on. That is it for the likely Republican states, and now we're on to lean Democratic. So the first lean Democratic state, there are only two. The first one is the state of Georgia. Herschel Walker's campaign is going more downhill and downhill by the day. More scandals come out and more debates occur where Warnock absolutely demolishes Walker. Walker does not do well in the debates at all. I shouldn't say demolished. He really doesn't. But the debates are definitely favoring Warnock, and people won't want to vote for a person who has a bunch of scandal surrounding his name. I definitely see Raphael Warnock's chances, his chances of winning probably doubled than a month ago. Okay, this race has changed drastically. I've had this tilt Democratic for a while, but I'm comfortable giving this to him by a lean margin. Now I see Raphael Warnock winning here by a lean margin by about 2%. I would say, as we have to remember, this is a Biden state. And the last lean Democratic state, I am keeping Arizona in the lean Democratic column. I don't think I had it tilt in my most recent prediction. I know I had it in the one before that, but Blake Masters is just not a good candidate for Arizona. He might be a Republican, and Arizona might be a Republican state. However, Blake Masters is very extreme. And as we know, Arizona Republicans, many, voted for Joe Biden in 2020, and that is how Biden won Arizona in the presidential election. They rejected Trump because of his extremism, and they voted in Joe Biden because he was a moderate. Blake Masters, he's doing just what Biden did. He's making himself look like a moderate, and that is how Mark Kelly wins. Blake Masters might have done well in the debates, and that's why I had it tilt for a little bit. However, one debate that isn't like a super viral debate that didn't go crazy across the country isn't going to change the outcome of this race. I'm having this lean Kelly. That is it for lean Democratic states. So now on to lean Republican states. There are three: Wisconsin, Ohio, and North Carolina. So in Wisconsin, we have Ron Johnson running for a third term. Mandela Barnes is just not a good candidate for Wisconsin. They should have nominated Stephen Alakera. He would have been definitely beating Ron Johnson right now because he is a moderate, and he would definitely turn out the white working class voters in Wisconsin and run a great campaign against Ron Johnson being an election denier and all that. But anyway, they didn't nominate Alakera. They nominated Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes. Now, Mandela Barnes is just very far left. He's extremely progressive. And as we know, the white working class control the Wisconsin elections, along with in Ohio, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and Iowa. And I won't include Illinois and Indiana. But Mandela Barnes will not appeal to the white working class at all. in Wisconsin. He just won't. Ron Johnson might not that much either, but he will win them over far better than Mandela Barnes. Mandela Barnes is so much more far left than Joe Biden. It's insane. He's a horrible candidate for Wisconsin, and Ron Johnson might be an election denier. Very extreme also. But Wisconsin is more conservative than progressive, and we have to keep that in mind. In Ohio, Tim Ryan is running a great campaign, and I'm changing my characterization from the state for the state from likely to lean now. Tim Ryan made it known in the debates that J.D. Vance is a I won't say it on here, but he made it known that J.D. Vance is an election denier and that he's very to the right. And as I was saying, J.D. Vance is a very bad candidate. He really is. He's just not running a good campaign. Josh Mandel would be beating Tim Ryan right now by a likely margin without a doubt. However, they nominated J.D. Vance, and this is how they pay. But still, Ohio went to Trump both times by a wide margin, and it's staying Republican at this point. And then North Carolina, we have Ted Budd here. He is a representative running for his first term because Richard Burr decided to not run again. And Ted Budd is actually a good candidate. Okay, this is the few times that we see Republicans in at least somewhat of a swing state nominate the right candidate. Ted Budd is a good candidate. Sherry Beasley is fine, but it's North Carolina, Republican favorite state, and Ted Budd is a okay candidate. So in a Republican state, he is going to win. Likely not so much though, because it's not that much of a Republican state. It's not a likely Republican state. It's just not there yet. So we have two states, Nevada and Pennsylvania. Both will be tilt. And as the days go on, I have become more and more unsure of who wins in either of these states. I would put them both as toss-up if I could. However, I made a pledge that I will never, ever do that on my channel because that is dumb. Why watch a prediction if you don't even give the majority to any party? Both of these will probably switch. There will probably be like a prediction 5 days before the midterms where I flip the two, which still gives Democrats control. However, at this point, I'm keeping it where it is. I'm putting Pennsylvania as tilt Democrat. I'm putting Nevada as tilt Republican. In Pennsylvania, it's not that John Fetterman's campaign is doing horrible by the day like Herschel Walker's. I mean, it is slightly. He was definitely a better candidate, earlier this year. It's just that Dr. Oz is really stepping it up. He's running much better of a campaign, a much more official campaign. He's not going to like a grocery store saying, all these fancy terms about Turkish lunch or whatever. Has really stepped it up. He's campaigning all across the state and making it known that John Fetterman is very far left. John Fetterman is not running that great of a campaign. It's looking very unofficial. He's just like making memes and such. And Dr. Oz really does have a great chance of winning Pennsylvania. But Pennsylvania went to Biden, we have to remember. But it also went to Trump in 2016. But still, a lot of Republicans will view, mostly independents. These are the key voters, of course, in any state. But a lot of independents will keep viewing Dr. Oz as a corporate sellout and John Fetterman as someone who really connects with them. And that is why I'm giving this race to John Fetterman. And I'm even less confident about the state of Nevada because I really feel that this is a state and this is a year and we're in the middle of a presidency that would give Adam Laxalt the Senate seat in Nevada. It would give the Republicans the Senate seat in a state like Nevada. However, polling is proving me wrong because Republicans always are overestimated in polls in Nevada. It's just a fact. In 2016, Trump was expected to win the state. Hillary won it by 2.4% when Trump won Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, all three of which said that Hillary would win. In 2018, in the gubernatorial and Senate elections in Nevada, polls favored Republicans once again. Democrats won both of those races. And in 2022, polls are either showing Catherine Cortez Masto winning, the Democrat, or Adam Laxalt winning by like 1 to 2%. And based off of history, we know that polls in Nevada typically overestimate Republicans by 3 to 4%. So I'm just using logic and math. In polls, of course, it would mean that Catherine Cortez Masto wins re-election. However, I'm standing by my pledge thing that I will not use polls as the majority of my, of a race.com. Not using polls to, you know what I'm saying. I don't want to use polls, okay, to make my predictions. I really don't. So therefore, I won't. Of course, I'll keep them in consideration and will have some part in my predictions, but I'm not using that as my basis, as my complete basis. So I do have Adam Laxalt winning in Nevada. So that gives the Republicans 50 seats, Democrats 50 seats. That means that the Democrats keep control of the Senate because Kamala Harris is the tie-breaking vote. So thank you all for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I've recorded this video twice and it has been miserable. But thanks for watching. I hope